Ever wondered why your brain recoils at the thought of difficult tasks? It's not just a lack of motivation or a desire to take the easy way out. There's a scientific explanation behind why our brains often shy away from the hard stuff. You see, our brains prioritize survival above all else. Any perceived threat or stressor, including the prospect of a challenging task, triggers an ancient part of our brain called the amygdala. This almond-shaped bundle of neurons is responsible for processing emotions and, more importantly, fear. When we're faced with a tough challenge, the amygdala lights up, sending out warning signals that scream, "Danger ahead, retreat." This is a deeply ingrained instinct, a survival mechanism that has been with us since our cave-dwelling days, when a hard task might have meant a life-or-death situation. But in our modern world, most of the tasks we face aren't life-threatening, even if they feel that way. The amygdala doesn't know the difference. It simply reacts to stress in the way it's been programmed to do for millennia. Then there's the concept of cognitive load. This refers to the total amount of mental effort being used in working memory. When we perceive a task as difficult, the cognitive load increases. This can lead to mental fatigue, reducing our willingness to engage with the task. It's like trying to fill a cup that's already brimming. There's no room for anything more. The brain's natural inclination to avoid hard tasks, then, is a combination of instinctual fear response and cognitive overload. It's not a character flaw or a sign of laziness. It's simply the way our brains are wired. But here's the good news. We're not doomed to forever avoid difficult tasks. We can train our brains to handle these situations differently, to not see them as threats, but as opportunities for growth. We can trick our brains into embracing the hard stuff. Understanding this natural avoidance is the first step to overcoming it. And as we delve deeper into this topic, we'll uncover strategies to do just that. So let's take this journey together to a place where difficult tasks become not so daunting after all. Now, let's delve into the science behind this struggle. Our brains are fascinating and complex structures, and understanding their workings can help us navigate the challenges of difficult tasks. Let's start with the prefrontal cortex, the region at the front of the brain. This area is crucial in decision-making, particularly when we face a hard challenge. It's like the CEO of the brain, weighing the pros and cons, evaluating the risks and rewards, and ultimately deciding whether or not to proceed with the task. When a task is difficult, the prefrontal cortex works overtime, which can lead to mental exhaustion. Then there's dopamine, a neurotransmitter often associated with feelings of pleasure and reward. Dopamine is released in the brain when we achieve a goal or complete a task, providing a sense of satisfaction and motivation. But when a task is hard and the end seems far off, the dopamine reward seems less immediate, and our motivation can wane. Now let's talk about ego depletion. This is a theory suggesting that self-control or willpower, much like a muscle, can become fatigued with overuse. Essentially, if you've been exerting a lot of mental effort, say, working on a challenging project all day, your willpower could be depleted, making it harder to resist distractions or make good decisions. Interestingly, some researchers argue that ego depletion is more about perception than physical reality. They suggest that if you believe willpower is a finite resource, you're more likely to feel drained. But if you see it as something that grows with use, you might find yourself more resilient. Finally, it's important to understand that our brain is adaptable. With consistent practice, our neural pathways can change, making difficult tasks easier over time. This is known as neuroplasticity. With a grasp on the science, strategies to trick the brain into doing hard tasks become clearer. So whether it's understanding the role of the prefrontal cortex, acknowledging the power of dopamine, being aware of ego depletion, or leveraging neuroplasticity, there's a whole world of scientific understanding ready to assist us in our journey to conquer difficult tasks. Do you think your brain can be tricked into enjoying difficult tasks? It might sound like a tall order, but the answer is a resounding yes. The secret lies in the power of positive reinforcement and the reward system of the brain. Let's start with a basic understanding of positive reinforcement. In simple terms, it's a process where we reward ourselves or get rewarded for accomplishing a task. This reward stimulates our brain, making us more likely to repeat the action that led to the reward in the first place. It's the brain's equivalent of a pat on the back, a thumbs up, or a gold star. In the context of challenging tasks, positive reinforcement can be a game changer. Consider a task that you find particularly daunting. Now, Imagine breaking it down into smaller, more manageable parts. Each of these parts now becomes a mini goal. And what happens when you achieve a goal? You reward yourself. This could be anything from taking a quick break, indulging in a favorite snack, or spending a few minutes on a hobby you love. What you're doing here is essentially creating a positive feedback loop. Each small reward sends a signal to your brain that you're making progress, that you're achieving something. This, in turn, motivates you to tackle the next part of the task. But why does this work? It all comes down to dopamine, a neurotransmitter that plays a significant role in how we feel pleasure. When we achieve a goal and reward ourselves, our brain releases dopamine. This gives us a feeling of satisfaction and pleasure, which motivates us to repeat the action that led to this feeling. So, by using positive reinforcement, we're essentially training our brain to associate difficult tasks with dopamine-driven pleasure. That said, it's essential to keep the rewards proportionate to the tasks. Rewarding yourself extravagantly for minor tasks might lead to a skewed reward system, and that can be counterproductive in the long run. Positive reinforcement then becomes a powerful tool in our arsenal. It tricks our brain into enjoying difficult tasks, turning the daunting into the doable. Scene script. Imagine overcoming the hardest task on your list. Feels good, doesn't it? Welcome to the strategy of visualization, a powerful tool with a profound impact on our brains. Visualization is more than a mere daydream. It's a deliberate act of seeing yourself achieving the results you desire. It is a strategy that can trick your brain into believing that a daunting task is achievable, which in turn reduces fear and resistance. Here's how it works. When you visualize yourself completing a task successfully, your brain creates new neural pathways that prepare your body to act in a way consistent with what you've imagined. This mental rehearsal helps to build confidence and self-belief, making the task feel less intimidating. Think of it as a simulation run by your brain. Just like a pilot practicing in a flight simulator, your brain uses visualization to train and prepare for real-life situations. By visualizing the task at hand, you're mentally rehearsing the steps required to succeed. This practice makes the actual execution of the task smoother and less stressful. But visualization is not just about seeing, it's about feeling too. When you visualize, try to involve as many senses as possible. Feel the satisfaction of ticking off that hard task from your list. Hear the sound of your own voice saying, "I did it." Taste the sweet victory of accomplishment. These sensory experiences make your visualization more realistic and therefore more effective. It's also crucial to maintain a positive mindset throughout the process. Negative thoughts can be as powerful as positive ones. So, if you're visualizing yourself failing, that's the message you're sending to your brain. Remember, your brain doesn't distinguish between reality and imagination. So, visualize success, not failure. The strategy of visualization is not a magic wand. It requires regular practice and a firm belief in oneself. But when done right, it can be a game changer in tricking your brain to tackle those hard tasks. So give it a try. Picture yourself overcoming that challenging task, feel the joy of achievement, and let your brain do the rest. Visualize, believe, and conquer. It's as simple as that. So, how can you trick your brain into doing hard tasks? Let's circle back to what we've unraveled so far. We delved into the science behind our brain's inherent resistance to difficult tasks. We discovered that our brains are wired to seek comfort, which often means shying away from challenges. However, we also explored the potent power of positive reinforcement. Rewarding ourselves for every little progress we make can effectively encourage our brains to tackle the daunting tasks. It's like dangling a carrot in front of us, a simple yet powerful motivator. Lastly, we ventured into the strategy of visualization. By vividly picturing the end result, we can pull ourselves towards it. It's like creating a captivating movie in our mind, where we are the hero surmounting all odds